Hey kids, you're about to listen to a comedy podcast. That means that none of this is medical advice. And if you need medical advice or medical care, please contact your doctor.
Welcome to the Jock podcast featuring Dr. London Smith. We've got a good one for you today, folks. Introducing your host, Dr. London Smith.
Hello, and welcome to the Jock podcast, where we discuss fitness and health and how to incorporate our modern understanding of science and medicine into our daily lives, but without it being so boring. I'm your host, Dr. LondonSmith.com. I would like to begin by apologizing to our listeners. We have received some feedback about the excessive amount of technical medical terms that I've been using, such as hypnagogic hallucinations and hunky-dory. So I will try to temper my terminology to a simpler one in the future. I'm here to help with that and kind of, yeah.
Here, take
thank
a
you.
tissue.
Just
Take a tissue.
also here to help with sort of just everything that's been going on is our producer Cameron. So Cameron is so dedicated to making sure that I don't know if I can get through this.
I'm here.
Okay, and
Yeah.
do you want to explain to our listeners? Or?
Yeah, I mean, you hold on. You step back for a second, man. You blow your nose into that tissue real loud and real confident. Let me hear it. There we go. Yeah, there it is. So for our listeners, you're probably wondering why there's maybe a more somber tone than usual in this episode, and well, unfortunately, sometimes bad things happen in this world. Things that are a bit unexpected, and things that maybe aren't exactly fair. And that's exactly what's happened here. We've lost one of our 3 listeners. As you all know, the only 3 people listen to this show, and unfortunately that number has gone down to 2. We've lost our good friend Lanchester Fligsby. And I mean, Dr. London, do you want to maybe speak on this a little?
So Lanchester Fligsby, Lan, as I like to call him.
Yeah.
And we do know it's a him. We actually kind of know a lot about him because, well, I guess I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit.
Should I specify, Dr. London, that our listener didn't pass away. I just worry that because this is a medical podcast, people might be assuming there's some sort of health related factor to this. No, he's just he's apparently discovered.
Listening.
I think he discovered This American Life, and so he's sort of stopped listening to this one, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's almost as if he thought that just swapping and I'm not mad. I'm not mad. Great podcast. It's just I know that I know in my heart of hearts that he loved the Jock podcast.
Yeah.
That Lanchester loved the Jock podcast, but something happened. I don't know. And so anyway, we're so this episode is dedicated, and I hope this isn't going out of bounds to say it. This episode is dedicated to Lanchester Fligsby.
Yep.
And just to the memory of him, and just
and the things that we wish we could have told him when we had the chance, and we just took it for granted.
Yeah. And sorry, before we move on, just to help us with the process, because we're all kind of together in this, also with us is Digital in the house. So this is dedicated to Lanchester Fligsby.
Lanchester Fligsby.
To the memory of him.
Lanchester Fligsby.
Lanchester Fligsby. Unfortunately, sometimes bad things happen in this world.
Lanchester Flegsby. Lanchester Flegsby. Lanchester Flegsby.
Lanchester Fligsby.
I knew in my heart of hearts
Lanchester Fligsby.
that he
Lanchester Fligsby.
loved the Jock podcast.
You know, we have our intern here with us today.
Yes.
Returning to the episode, Shane Fleg. So Shane here is going to be helping us pull up as much information as we can get on our old buddy Lanchy and good old Lanch Pants, as we called him.
Now, I will say I don't want to pull up anything too malicious on the guy because
Hey.
I've grown to
never.
like him
No.
myself
Well-
because I actually I've had communication with him myself. I actually I sent him an email one time and I didn't get a response, but you could just tell the way that he kind of let it sit for a while, forever with no response. It was just kind of that, like, that sarcasm you only get in a true friendship.
It's a sort of a wink. Even if you nothing
exactly.
needs to be said.
Internet winks are just very
Yeah.
apparent, to people like me. So
It's
I
a
could
language.
tell,
I mean, I don't understand it. You guys are amazing. It's a language I don't understand. But I mean, Doctor. Definitely, we're not ever looking for anything malicious on him at all. We're trying to just win him back. We will do anything. We will do whatever it takes with this podcast to make sure that Lanchester Fligsby is one of our listeners. We'll change the format. I mean, we'll do anything. Shane, can you go ahead and boot up your? I don't know how all that works. Boot up your hacker machine or whatever.
Yes.
Oh yeah. I've got my boxes here ready to go.
Okay.
So
Yeah, it sounds like it's.
Okay.
yeah, it's just loading in real quick to the.
Okay.
Need to push a couple buttons. And all right, I think we're in. All right, we're good.
Did you find him?
Yeah, I mean, I found some. I mean, I could really go any direction at this point. So I guess the question is, where?
What are we looking for?
Yeah, what are you looking for? Yeah.
Dr. London? I mean, how do you want to
Yeah,
go
what's
about this?
I guess just what maybe just pull up.
What is he into?
Yeah, what's his latest
right?
search history, or what kind of car does he drive?
Can you pull up his
I can-
Googles?
Yeah, I'll pull up his Google search history. It's honestly, this is baby stuff. Like, anybody can. Google knows everything, so you can just Google search for somebody's Google searches and it should pop up. So let me just do a.
So I
quick
can
Google
I
search.
can look at like Dr. London search history just by Googling Dr. London search history.
I think that's
Yes.
how it works. That's Google's supposed to have all the information on the internet, so
Yeah.
I mean that counts, right? So I would think.
Yeah, that's incredible. So what
Yeah,
what
so
are
I'm
you seeing here, Shane?
A lot of Neopets.
Okay.
YouTube. It doesn't tell me anything specific,
Okay, no,
but
no,
I can just
That's a lot.
Can you see what he watched on YouTube?
mostly how to log in on Neopets.
Okay, it was mostly
Neopet.
It was
Yeah.
mostly Neopets related. So let's.
There's a lot of anti-Tamagotchi type lingo that I can't be
Okay.
too specific, but yeah, I'm seeing a lot.
It's not like
of
a
that. I don't know.
violent Tamagotchi.
Well, I think it's more of that he's a Neopets super fan, and so he just doesn't, really
into
mess
competing.
with any of the other
But he isn't a
computerized
specific hate
pets.
group towards
Right, yeah.
Tamagotchi.
No, I can see he is in some forums about Neopets, and they do seem to be a little bit extremist, possibly, but nothing to worry about at this point.
Okay.
Okay.
So I mean, okay, then I guess let's introduce a new segment to the show. which is the Neopet Vet Clinic. The Neopet Vet Clinic, we're just, because it's medical, so it's still doctory.
Yes.
And, anyone can ask a question about their favorite Neopets. Maybe their Neopets are sick.
I'm sorry.
And
I don't want to interrupt. And this is a new segment as well. I just want to throw in here because we didn't do it, and now I'm starting to feel guilty about it. Can we have a moment of silence for Lanchester?
Yeah.
I feel stupid. I feel.
We could just edit that in. We could just edit in a moment of silence.
That actually would save a lot of time if we let's just edit in the moment of silence later instead of actually doing it now.
Yeah.
So we'll to edit it. So we will.
So DJ Dylan, go ahead and just insert moments of silence just wherever throughout the podcast. I would say maybe like 13 or 14 times throughout the show. Just go ahead and just cut everything out for a long period of time.
Honestly, the more science, the more respect.
Yep.
Okay.
So
the more silence, the more science. Right?
That's true. That's what we say in the scientific community,
really?
actually.
Wow.
So
I'm going to go ahead and so we do have another segment that we do have to address, but I'll just try to incorporate the Neopets into it. Does that work? Just to bring this.
You don't want to do the Neopet vet?
No, I think we should do that, but let's merge.
Okay. Yeah. Let's merge the ideas. Okay, go ahead.
So before we move on, I would like to address a bit of listener feedback. Okay, and this is what Lanchester was all about. He liked this thing. So I found this note written on the walls of my house in some sort of dripping red paint. The note reads, quote, "Oh no, Titiana isn't a hussy. Poor dear was bitten by a rabid Dolly Parton impersonator during puberty," end quote. So, and Neopets. So we...
This reminds me of the Neopet Psy Bunny.
Yes.
Which, as we all know, Psy Bunny is a
Neopet.
Little white bunny who has sort of an ascot or something around its neck that's red with hearts on it. And the reason that connects me to it is because I just love Psy Bunny so much. Psy Bunny's my favorite Neopet. And
it's okay if it's not, though. If that's not your favorite Neopet.
If that's not, I think everyone has to have their own favorite. That's what makes them special. And
yes. So that's
the Psy Bunny.
Okay, and just as a side note, Shane, could you go ahead and look up what is Neopets? Just so we have something to go off of.
Yeah. Let me go ahead.
Access denied. Access granted. Access granted.
Okay, so I'm seeing ice cream made in layers of different colors typically included. This doesn't sound right.
No, okay. So it's ice cream.
Just finish
It's ice cream.
Okay.
Okay, so I got that.
Is it, maybe some of the Neopets are made of ice cream. I'm not really in the space so much yet, but I'm very after hearing about it, I'm very intrigued.
Okay, so the question was about being bitten. So ice cream, that's what you bite that.
Yes.
Sometimes.
Yeah. And so maybe
Dolly
my
Parton,
favorite Neopets. So my favorite Neopet is cookies and cream.
Yes.
That's my
favorite great.
Neopet.
So for me, if I had to pick one, and I don't want to have to, I'd go for maybe the vanilla.
Okay.
If I had to go for
that's
one.
That's okay. Hey, that's okay.
Is that...
And that doesn't mean you're judging anyone who has a different favorite flavor. And right?
I don't know. I really don't know. Look, and this is sort of tough because I'm in a grieving period right now, and so to be bringing all this up, to dredge it up, and then to also like dealing with the loss, and then also having to say, hey, I have a favorite Neopet, and Neopet is ice cream. It's tough. I'm not.
Well, it's kind of like when you get out of a long-term relationship, you're gonna grieve, but what you really want to do is learn all about that person and what they like. You focus on them.
Yeah.
And that's what gets you through that grieving period. So this
And that's
is
how
kind
you
of
sort
what we're
of, and
doing.
that also gives you the opportunity to sort of like trick them into coming back, which is what we're doing today.
Right. But trick them in a good way. Like trick
It's
or
always,
treat.
Oh, like trick or treating.
Yeah, it's not like
Yeah.
trick. Yeah, not like tricking like, maybe tricking like an old witch who is trying to set a curse on you, but then you give her a riddle that accidentally she sets the curse on her own self. Not that kind of tricking.
Yeah, no, this is much more like instead of a witch, it's a friendly old lady at the door that gives you candy corn.
Yeah, absolutely. Can we find out a little, Shane, a little bit more about Lanchester real quick? I'm trying to think of what I want to know. I mean, can we get any kind of pictures of him? Maybe a vacation that he was on. We can get some information.
What do you like
on,
to wear?
Where
or
he likes to travel.
Yeah.
What he likes to wear. Yeah.
Okay, I'm seeing. Let me pull that up. I'm seeing a lot of anime convention pictures.
Okay.
Mostly Neopet themed, but yeah, lots of cosplay. I've never heard the term furry before, but I'm seeing that pop up a lot.
And that would you be able to hack the system and find out what that is? Well, we can probably just guess, right? I mean, Dr.
It's
Dr.
just
Lund,
one
do you know?
word. What else could it mean?
A furry? Yeah, so furry is so it's also known as hirsutism. This is whenever people have an abnormal amount of like hair growth, like especially the term is used for women whenever they too much testosterone, then they'll have sort of male pattern hair, like they'll start to grow a beard or something. So hirsutism is what Lanchester Fligsby was I guess into.
So it's a hair suitism, like the hair.
Yes.
How do you spell that?
Hirsutism.
Hirsute.
HIR.
HAIR.
SUITISM.
UTISM.
SM. Right.
They have
SM.
hirsutitis, and I mean, so I guess.
Okay, so he's into.
Hey, Dr. London, you know what I love doing? I love combing all my hair that's all over my body.
Oh, you like that? Oh, for me,
There are some great health benefits for that because, like, for instance, if you have a lot of bugs in there, it gets like if you have ants or lice, it brushes those out.
Mm-hmm.
For me,
I do that.
I don't even brush. I like to kind of let it go the way it's gonna go. Do you?
Yeah, just let it
natural,
let
More
it be
natural.
free, and I think that's cool too. And so,
and respectable.
I think what's important
both.
here is that even people in the world who have hirsutitis, they matter, and they should be listening to this show. And this show is now a large chunk of it is gonna be about that.
I found a couple of other searches that were a little farther down from about the time. It seems it's about the time that he left.
Oh no!
There are a whole bunch of searches for keywords related to and including why is the Jock podcast so terrible? Who are these guys?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so one thing we've learned about him, thanks to Shane, is that he hates us. So can we incorporate that into the show?
Honestly, he's right.
Okay.
He's right to he has a right to have an opinion, is what you mean.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's awesome. Yeah, that's great. And I hate you, Dr. Lund. I hate you. Why are you so terrible?
I mean,
think this is
he's
a good
not the
time.
worst, but he's not the best.
Yeah.
This is a good time.
Honestly,
for
he's
me.
pretty terrible.
So I'll do the medical lesson now because I feel like this is the time for that.
Okay, for the terrible part.
Yeah, I just feel like I don't know a better segue.
Okay, yeah, this is perfect. So, I know I try not to interrupt you when you do your medical lessons because obviously they're really important, and so usually I just try to stay completely silent. But Shane, maybe during this time we need to be sort of, let's just say, encouraging Dr. London by heckling him.
Right. Well, yeah. The smartest people perform the best under pressure.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so hopefully our old friend Lanchi will find some humor in us kind of roasting Dr. London here.
But
Well,
if
it doesn't
not,
sound
then
close
at
then.
least me and you can be friends with him because we would also appear to hate the podcast.
Oh, yeah. I will leave this podcast to just have a light lunch with Lanchester Fligsby.
I would leave this podcast to have another unreplied email be sent to him.
It's just it consumes my every thought. We've got to figure this out.
Okay.
Dr. London, please.
Okay.
Boo.
Okay, so
this sucks.
Okay, just gotta play into him not like he hates me. He hates me. Okay. Now for today's medical topic: granulomatosis with polyangiitis, formerly known as
this
Wegener's
again?
So lame.
granulomatosis. So, granulomatosis with polyangiitis is characterized by a necrotizing granulomatous vasculitis affecting the vessels of lungs, kidneys, the upper airways.
I'm glad it's not characterized by being bored, because then maybe I'd have that right now. You know what I'm talking about, Lanchester?
and
If you're out there,
and sometimes other organs. So the granulomatosis indicates an elevated number of granulomas, and granulomas are an organized collection of macrophages, which are a part of your body's immune system. So it's like a small
yeah,
ball
maybe
of,
part of like a normal person's body, but I mean not Dr. London's body, because he is a I mean, I don't want to be mean like this, Dr. London.
I feel like most weeks you do.
I know.
Is this the grieving? I'm
only
so
thing
sorry.
The only thing I've ever tried to do is help. And now I'm just here. I'm just like making fun of you, and I don't even believe these things. I mean, Dr. London, he looks like a freak, and his hat is too big, and it's always been too big, and I think that maybe he should stop wearing the hat.
So it's like a small ball of inflammation cornering whatever pathogen they're targeting. So in this case, the granulomas may in fact be mistakenly targeting some of the body's own proteins. So and these antibodies are
and
what we
again,
test
maybe
for
a
to help-
normal person's body, but not Dr. London's like freaky body.
so to help diagnose the condition.
That's what I believe.
And so that addresses the granuloma aspect of the name. And the polyangiitis refers to multiple blood vessels being inflamed. So manifestations of granulomatosis with polyangiitis include, upper and lower
Wow, why are you
respiratory
crying,
infections.
you big baby? Why are you crying, you big
Granulomatosis.
baby? Why are you
And
crying, you
pulmonary
big baby?
nodules.
Why are you crying, you big baby?
So essentially, if a patient presents with problems involving the nose and or throat, the lungs and the kidneys, then you want to have granulomatosis with polyangiitis on your differential. Of course, the gold standard for diagnosis is tissue biopsy, and if the patient tests positive for C antineutrophilic cytoplasmic antibodies, otherwise known as C ANCA or PR3 ANCA, along with a clinical picture that further establishes the diagnosis, the likelihood of having this condition is high.
Which you wouldn't
Is he
even
still
know.
is he still talking? I just got back.
Yeah, he
I've been
keeps-
gone for like 20 minutes.
He keeps talking about I guess how much he sucks and how much Neopets are better than doctor things.
Yeah, and you know what really sucks is logging on to a podcast just to hear someone read from Wikipedia. He probably doesn't even know any of this stuff. I'm a scientist. I know stuff. And I can detect when people don't know stuff. It's fishy. It's fishy.
Yes.
So treatment usually includes immunosuppressive agents and glucocorticoids. Do you guys think we did? Do you think we did it? Do you think we?
Can we look at who's listening right now?
Yeah, Shane, could you pull that up? We should have at least 2, hopefully.
I've got
3.
2 listeners right now. Let me see.
Okay, where's Lanchester?
Shane Fleg and Dr. London Smith. It's probably a glitch. I think it's probably a glitch. There's probably more than 2.
Okay. But so we have this. What else? So
This video, we will give you an overview on Neopets. What is Neopets?
Yeah.
The Neopets.com was launched in 1997 and was made available in several languages such as Spanish, German, Dutch.
Oh, okay.
Spanish.
L.
Hola.
Doctor.
Muy comprendo.
The Grande. Rojo.
Spain. Spain is great.
Yes. Oh, Bane from Batman.
Yeah, that's what you said, right?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, is that what it said?
That's what you said. Bane. Okay. So we're thinking like sort of a. So Lanchester must have taken like some sort of steroids, gotten to be really big and strong, like the wrestler character guy in Batman.
Okay.
Bane.
Maybe we can.
Or maybe that's what he wants to be, and that's why he goes to the cosplay conventions.
Yeah, the hirsutism,
Oh.
the furry.
To pretend to be something that he is.
Yes, the
Okay,
hirsute disease, where he has hair all over him, would make him self-conscious.
What if we turn this podcast into a self-help podcast
Okay.
so that we can make him become what he wants to become? So what is he like dressed up as at the anime conventions? Shane,
I've
can you pull that
seen
up?
some pictures. It just looks, from what I can see, it just looks kind of like just a really hairy suit or something. Is that? I think it might. He may be naked.
It is, and it just looks like a pile of hair, like it's not in any shape.
I'm not really sure, but judging by the fact that he has hirsuteiism,
Yeah.
and he appears to be only dressed in hair, I would probably make the conclusion that he is naked.
Okay. So
Which honestly fits. You don't see anything, except for the hair. So it does work as a costume.
Yeah. So our Lanchester wants to be Cousin It, right? From the Addams Family.
No, technically he's just a furry. I haven't seen anything about the Addams Family, but I would say if there's ever a casting for a new Addams Family show or film, that would be something to look into.
Okay, so Addams Family.
Which we could get in contact with him if that opportunity were to arise.
Well,
Okay,
actually, I've been thinking about doing a remake of that, getting into film and starting my own Addams Family remake.
Wow.
So I don't know if that's if that's a way if that's what we have to do to win him back. I'm all for it. Those thoughts have already crossed my mind.
This is incredible. Lanchester, are you hearing this? You've just been given a part in a big blockbuster Hollywood movie.
Wow.
Yeah. It's definitely going to be a blockbuster because it already was.
Blockbuster, that was around at the same time as Neopets, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
I don't know because the only thing I know about Neopets is that it's in Spanish.
One of you, and one of you said, well, Bane. It was Bane, but and also said it was the late '90s, which, that's whenever that one Marvel movie had a blockbuster in it. Sorry.
And the Addams Family was around at least in the early '90s.
Okay.
Maybe even earlier. and everyone has heard of it. So if a show has had success in the past, then you know that a remake is going to be a hit.
Well, yeah, riding the wave, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this one's great because they just made a animated Addams Family movie that came out, I want to say last Halloween. And so you don't even have to dig that deep for source material.
Yeah, and think about how much more people will love the real thing than animated. I mean, the reason they animated is because nobody actually looks like Cousin It, but
No
we
one was
have the
hairy
guy.
enough.
We
Yeah.
have the guy. He's not even in a costume. He's naked. You know how many people are going to want to watch that?
You know, guys.
And how much money you're going to save on costuming.
Look,
Yeah, it's
we're talking
incredible.
about making so much money, and we're talking about showbiz, but you know, to me, we lost a listener, and we only have 3. We had 3, and I'm sorry to, I don't want to get lost in all the lights and the cameras, and there's a real Lanchester out there. I just don't want us to get caught up and lose sight of the person of Lanchester.
Yeah, I didn't mean to look at him as a specimen so much.
You want to reach out not to just, the things he likes and dislikes and how he dresses, but more to his humanity. Is that what you're trying to reach out to?
Judging by these pictures, he may not have that much humanity in him. It may be more ape.
Whatever species, what man or beast, it's because of us. It's our fault. And,
No, Dr. Linda, you can't blame yourself. You cannot blame yourself like that.
are you sure? Because it's
You can only blame the people who run the podcast.
You can only blame the people who run the podcast, Dr. Linda.
Yes.
I can't help but think that I have at least a small part to play in that.
Well, no,
Well,
your
in running
podcast
it.
is just one of many.
Yeah,
So
it's
it's a collective. It's not your fault that someone else has a better podcast.
Yeah.
Nope.
It's Tim Cook's fault for allowing the Apple Podcast app to still exist.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
No, we've
That's
talked
really
about this a
who's
lot
to blame
before.
here.
How
Yeah,
upset we
and-
are about the app existing.
So I mean, Dr. London, what are you suggesting here? Like, what do we need to do? Do we need to search, do more research on him? Do we need to throw the research out and just try to appeal to his humanity or ape-like behavior?
So we've gone through, and before the episode, we talked about, so we found his address. We're watching him on a satellite. We have been driving to his locations, watching through binoculars and telescopes, listening in on conversations, pulling out his chair from behind him before he sits down, doing all these things around him. And and all that comes from technology and from an almost but not quite face-to-face interaction. So as we watch him on, these thermal cameras, as we watch him on infrared, as we do all this, what if we just take all that away and, as you said, see him as a person, as a soul?
Or an ape-like creature, yeah.
Yeah, from the depths, yeah.
If this podcast doesn't win him back, we could always switch to sabotage, but not sabotaging him, but just sabotaging the podcasts that are better than ours, because I don't know if there's much hope of ours getting better, but there is hope of other ones
becoming
getting
much worse, yeah. So I do like that suggestion, and the main podcast that's our issue right now is the NPR podcast and radio show This American Life.
Just genre-wise, yeah.
Well, no, I mean that's what Lanchester started listening to. That's the
Yeah.
reason he stopped
Well,
listening
and-
to us, because he was listening to This American Life.
Yeah, it's just
And-
they're also like the most medical informative podcast there is, aside from ours.
Yeah. So why don't we, on our Jock Doc Twitter account, why don't we use the power we have there to say that Ira Glass, it has stolen credit card information. That he's a thief, and that he's hacked into people's computers and stolen their credit cards, and so you can't support Ira Glass anymore.
Okay. Shane, can you...
Oh, I can do anything.
Yeah, if you can post that to Twitter.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay, and now we just sit back and
Now we just wait for the mob.
Wait for Lanchester Fligsby, and maybe he'll bring some friends with him over from his This American Life land.
Okay.
Yeah, and I have a lot of connections with Russia.
Oh. Okay.
And
Wow.
if there's one thing that they hate, it's podcasts that have to do with America.
Oh, okay. So,
We can take them down.
So I know, Shane, that you've mentioned before that you're a scientist. For our listeners who haven't heard Shane on previous episodes, Shane is, from what I understand, are you still you're a cashier at Walgreens? Is that right?
Yes, but you may know me better from my paper that has been circulating about how global warming is actually caused by the Earth's inner core.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's very popular.
I haven't.
25 downloads.
Okay. Well, so I bring it up to the scientist aspect because, and that kind of.
And that paper really got me thinking, because I've wondered why sometimes when I'm standing out on the hot pavement on a hot day when I'm not wearing any shoes, and I'm sitting there thinking, okay, yeah, the sun's hot, but my feet are getting burned way more than like my head.
Yeah, the pavement's way hotter than the sun is on your body, and it makes you wonder, where is this extra heat coming from? And you keep standing in that same spot, and when the sun goes down, tell me it's not still hot, because it is.
Exactly.
So it proves that the sun has nothing to do with it. It's conduction coming.
The
straight
sun is
from
trying to mind its own
core.
business, and all these others, like these scientists and these publications and people like Ira Glass on This American Life, they want to blame it all on the sun, who is just trying to have a good time and give us some light every once in a while.
Yeah,
Would
and
truly
is
our
almost
enemy
100 million miles away, when the Earth is less than 1 mile away.
less than an inch.
Yeah, sometimes. And you want to tell me that the Earth is heated by a star that's 100 million miles away and by gases whenever the Earth's core is molten. And have you ever seen a volcano? That's what's inside the Earth. Now tell me that a volcano isn't hot.
And this is the kind of stuff, I mean, in the paper that Shane had wrote about this, after he asked that question, he did sort of a mic drop, because there was like 7 or 8 blank pages right after that, where he said,
Yeah, well,
"Tell
because
me
it's
that
an open
volcanoes aren't
letter.
hot." Huh?
It was
I'll
it's
wait.
more.
And then there was so much space before it started up again, and I thought that was incredible.
Right. That's because it's an open letter, so you want to have a lot of blank pages, since it's open. And the mic drop was there. I didn't want to say the end because teachers always tell you not to write the end, so
Yeah.
that kind of signifies that that's the end.
You're supposed to say, "I love you, bye."
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
And it has to be double spaced.
And, we're talking about teachers, and we're talking about the tasks that they assign, all the things that we had to do growing up. We have something that we have to do that we don't like. We don't like to have to do it, but for a while now we've had to do these chores. And you can put them off for only so long before they build up. So
we've had these chores that have been piling up on our to-do list for a really long time now. And so over the last few weeks, we've been trying to just knock off one chore on the chore list and trying to knock off one every week. And so we've created a fun chore wheel that we're going to go ahead and spin, and whatever chore it lands on, we have to do it, even if we don't want to do it, even if we're busy. And so, we're still Lanchester. If you're giving us another shot and listening to this, and if you hate the chore wheel, then tell me, and I will burn it to the ground. I will burn it, and I will bury its corpse in a hole. Okay.
You should burn it in the hole. That'd make more sense.
And yeah, that would reduce the amount of spread. That's a good point. So I'm going to put it in a hole and burn it. DJ Dylan, can we go ahead and spin the wheel?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, not
Okay,
this one.
I knew this was going to come up
No,
eventually. We've been
we
putting
do-
it off
do we
so
have
long.
to do this one?
I knew it was. Yeah, I mean, it was going to come up. I knew it.
Do we have to do it though?
I hate
ju-
it as much as you, but go ahead and you want to read the
Okay.
card?
So it's okay. So this. So as you know, our listeners know, we are a scientific podcast. We are it's medical science primarily, but sometimes we branch out. I certainly, my undergrad was not in medicine. It was in another science. But so anyway, a local university has asked us to go ahead and solve sort of a question, a riddle, a debate that they've been having. And
They're stumped.
Yeah.
This is they're university heads. They're supposed to be geniuses, and all these genius smarty pants have this problem written up on a whiteboard, waiting for someone to solve it, and no one can. And so
Well,
they've
been
reached
bringing
out to us.
So many janitors. They've been pushing janitors through, and just been leaving janitors in there.
And they've
seeing-
expanded to electricians, bug killer guys,
everything in front of this
light changing
whiteboard.
guys, all those kind of people.
And it's
Plant
become
guys.
concerning, just like the safety issue, in the current times. You're not supposed to be crowding a lot of people in a room, but they've been circulating a lot of people through trying to solve this problem that's on this whiteboard. And with
So they've
that in
outsourced
mind,
it. They've outsourced it to us.
Yeah.
Due to COVID issues and concerns, they've outsourced the problem to us. And I mean, we got to figure this out, Dr. London. So what's the question?
The
What is
question.
the question that has stumped every teacher and janitor at the university?
Okay, and sorry, before I say this, we have been tasked with, we have to come to a unanimous agreement. We have to, and it has to be
Okay.
precise. Okay.
Yeah.
So the
Okay.
question is, and it's fairly simple, I guess.
Okay.
Exactly how big is the universe?
In yards, it says.
Yeah, it says in
even
yards.
says in parentheses, in yards.
Which to
How
me
big is
seems
the universe?
odd because, you'd think maybe light years, or in science we tend to use, meters type of measurements, but.
But they seem to want it in yards. Maybe if it's football related. I really don't know. Shane, you're more of the expert on this subject than we are. Can we get some insight here?
Yeah, so it's impossible to actually measure the universe using units that we're familiar with, using units of measurement.
Yeah.
Because if you're trying to measure the universe with units of measurement that we're familiar with, the problem is that the universe is expanding at a rate that's faster than the speed of light.
Okay, right.
So that means that everything else in the universe is expanding too, because the term universe includes everything in the universe.
Right, yeah.
So as space-time is expanding, so is everything else. So if you were to measure the universe with a meter, well, technically the meter itself is expanding at a rate faster than light.
You're saying
constantly.
the meter stick that you're using to measure is growing larger into a more and more giant stick.
Yeah,
because
technically
the universe is expanding. We
right,
all are.
and
You
we're
saying
part of that?
You're saying we all are?
Yes, and that's the reason that we can't tell a difference in our meter stick, because everything is expanding at the same rate. So to us, it just looks like a meter still, but technically it's a meter times infinity long.
Okay, so I think so we're basically like a zillion feet tall, really.
Well, yeah.
But
So you know
everything's
how the
expanding at the same time, and so we don't realize that we're so gigantic. Is that correct?
right, and the universe is
Wow.
infinitely big.
Yeah.
You hear that all the time. What you don't hear is that we are also infinitely big.
Wow.
That's
I thought
why
I
it's
was
impossible to
5'11",
measure
and
anything.
That's incredible.
Yeah, that inches and feet are just social constructs.
But a
Yeah.
yards,
They're human constructs.
yards, I guess, are different because that's what they're asking.
So technically, yards, meters, kilometers, miles are a little more accurate because they were bigger to begin with.
Yeah.
Than an inch or a centimeter. So if you're going to measure, I would suggest using miles, just because it's still inaccurate, but it's closer to infinity than say an inch.
Okay, so so I think we can figure this out in miles, and then just convert that to yards
Convert it
for
back.
for
Okay.
their needs.
Okay,
So scientist Shane is telling us that everything in the universe is expanding at the same rate and at the same time. And so technically the universe is an infinite amount of space. So how many miles is that, Dr. London?
Okay, so it's infinite converted to.
And how giant am I really? I thought I was 5'11", but if I'm hearing correctly, I might be like 1,000 miles tall.
Well, technically, let's say you were 1,000 miles tall, you would technically be 1,000 miles divided by infinity miles tall.
So
Okay, and that's like double the amount of miles?
Well, yeah, it's infinity miles times the dividend of
So you're saying
1,000.
it's like more than 3 times more than what I was saying.
I mean, by now it would be a lot more
Maybe
than
even
3 times
four.
because
Maybe even 4 times.
well, by now.
yeah, could be by now.
So okay, so the way
So,
I
mean,
like to think about
it sounds like I'm 4,000 miles tall.
I would say at least 5 by now.
So-
probably
but
5.
yeah, it's hard to put a finger on it since
Because
it's always
everything's expanding. Yeah,
Right.
this is all making so much sense. Because I'm a 74-year-old man, and I still feel like I have growing pains. And I asked my mom the other day, I'm like, these stop, right? I swear these stop. And she was like, no, I mean, I don't know. I get them too. And so this just makes sense. Of course I have growing pains. I'm 5,000 feet tall.
And the thing is, you know, whenever people often argue, well, you would have more cells. Well, no, the thing is, the cells themselves are also growing at an exponential, infinite rate.
Yeah, it sounds like all of the blood cells and all of my organs and all of the atoms that I'm comprised of are growing exponentially. I mean, we're talking about. I mean, we think of atoms as super duper small. Sounds like atoms that are probably the size of a basketball.
Or what we perceive to be a basketball.
Oh,
so
I mean, the size of a basketball.
so I just want to kind of get us back on track a little bit because we do have to have an answer. And so what I'm thinking is let's just put it in terms that everyone can understand. Okay, so you have like maybe your backyard, and that's 4 by 6 yards.
Okay.
Let's say that.
Okay.
How do we apply that sort of measurement to the universe?
Okay, so let me put 4
If it's infinite.
by 6 times
Infinity. Yeah,
infinity.
check that.
Well, so the universe, as we know, is a circle. So technically, it would be pi big.
Oh.
Okay, so it's pi
It's
So-
really a
infinity.
simple answer.
Okay, so
So let's
pi.
go-
Because pi is an infinite number, and the universe is infinite, and it's a circle. So technically, It's pi big.
Oh, okay.
That
I
sounds
think
okay.
So
So-
let me just look up pi in yards. 1 pi is the equivalent of 12 yards.
Okay, so
All right, so you go ahead and put that
let me
down.
just- 12 yards. All right, and
I mean, I know we have to wrap up here.
We do have to, and
we've
I don't-
completed our chore.
it's just
And DJ Dillon has eaten his spaghetti dinner. Have we mentioned that on the show that during every show DJ Dillon eats a spaghetti dinner? He starts it.
throughout.
Yeah.
He
And then
paces
the show
himself.
the show can't finish until he's done. Mm-hmm. And I mean, look at that plate. There's nothing on it.
Yeah.
Nope.
So actually,
I know it's time to wrap up.
we're in a huge
but,
hurry then. With the spaghetti
but,
done. So
Maybe we can make one more collective plea to Lanchester Fligsby, and then call it quits. Right?
collective
Do you think it should be a
plea
threat?
to Lanchester?
Ooh,
Fligsby.
I like that idea. Should it be a threat? Yeah, maybe we should just threaten to kill his favorite Neopets, right?
Yeah. Or I could threaten to hack the Neopet server and just crash
Ooh.
the whole site.
Well, I think maybe, but cut the throats
It's-
of
it's-
all the Neopets.
For sure.
I think
And delete their digital home.
well, yeah, maybe just burn it to the ground. Don't delete it. Because I think
Hacking at this point, hacking is not enough.
You want the scars to be there.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's why you don't just delete their favorite Neopet, slit its throat, and have its corpse sitting on make that their screensaver.
Yeah.
You know?
right.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, Tamagotchis die. Why can't Neopets die?
Oh, I forgot he's an anti-Tamagotcher. So
So that would be kind of a double whammy for him.
kind of a.
Okay.
Copying Tamagotchis and
and
killing the Neopets.
I know that you were denying it, but whenever you pulled it up on the screen, it looks like it's a very violent extremist anti-Tamagotchi group that he's involved with.
Right. I didn't know if I wanted to go there.
yeah.
But it does seem extremely violent.
Okay, so and we do have to wrap up is the thing. So let's each or together make a threat
Together at the same time.
at the same time. That sounds
Let's go
easier.
ahead together at the same time. Let's make a threat towards Lanchester Fligsby that will convince him to listen to us. Okay.
So at the
You guys
same
ready?
time. Okay.
Yep. 1, 2, 3. Listen
Hey,
up,
what's
Mr.
up?
Lanchester.
I guess that
Everyone you
it's
know.
been a bit.
I
it's been a
think
bit.
it's time
So,
for you to
I want
Your
to-
hair. I'm gonna burn your hair.
listen up.
I'm trying not to-
because if
But
you
that's
don't
a bad thing.
come back
the
to
idea
being
too
our
much,
favorite
but-
listener,
You won't be
Yeah, I
able
don't-
to get
and
the role.
I don't
and
like-
even
Adam's
going
family.
one step
Yes.
further and donating
I
to
like
the
you,
show.
but I don't
That's what
like
you have
you
to
in the
do
way
now.
that-
You'll be poor.
And
would
if you
make-
don't, we are
just
going
don't think
to
it'd be
slit
weird
the
between
throat
us.
of every single
And
meal
I know
you've
it sounds like
ever
a
loved.
Honestly,
but I'm trying to
Your
be
parents
peaceful
will
about
never
it.
be proud of you.
If you
You'll be a
don't
disappointment
know
forever.
Anyway,
that we are going to burn their houses to the ground.
okay.
Love
so, yeah, sorry, love you. Okay, so I feel like we really got the point across. I'm feeling like I had the time to grieve a little bit, which
you. Yeah.
You don't always get to have that these days. Whenever there's just any difficulties in the world, sometimes you don't get the chance to really focus on what's important
And say
take
the things that
time.
you should have said before, you know?
Yeah, like the moments of silence that I assume were edited.
Well, and
in
what's
throughout the
what's
episode.
so great about this is that he's not dead. So at a funeral, you often feel like it's not the time to focus on the negative, perhaps. But in these situations, it's fine.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
one thing we can't do now, that we cannot do at least until we win him back, until we win Lanchi back,
Is get out of bed.
I was gonna say
I
we
don't have
can't-
the will.
we can't disavow the violent extremist anti-Tamagotchi group. But as soon as we get him
No.
back, we can have a stance.
Right.
I think
And
I
that'll be
disagree.
okay.
Disagree. I think we should never have a stance on it because we'll lose him.
It's best just to turn a blind eye in
Yeah.
these situations.
Let's just stick our little fingers in our ears and go la 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 la, and let's blackmail Lanchester Fligsby into coming back.
Okay. And that seems as good a point as any to end this. So thank you to Shane Fleg for coming on and helping us, taking up his role as intern once again. Do you have any?
Well, I got to do it for the credit. So
Yeah. Do you have any any way for our listeners to follow you or anyone you're a fan of?
Yes, you can find me on Facebook at Shane Fleg, facebook.com/Shane Fleg, and Instagram at Shane Fleg.
Yes.
Okay.
But don't ask me to follow you back. It gets annoying. It's kind of sad. It's pathetic.
Yeah, once you reach your
If
level.
I like you, I'll follow you back. If you're not attractive, I can't say for sure,
Yeah.
Right.
but that's just,
Except for
Okay.
Lanchester, if you want to follow Lanchester, Shane, can you promise a follow to Lanchester?
I will follow Lanchester back at
Thank
least
you.
briefly.
Okay.
Until you get the follow back, and then you
Just-
you would unfollow.
Yeah, well, I got to keep my ratio up, but that at least helps his algorithm.
Yeah.
It helps him show up on the algorithm better. So
Right. Okay. Well, so thank you to Shane Fleg, of course, and then thank you to our producer Cameron.
Mm-hmm.
And for everyone here who's been helping with this sort of grieving process. Thank you to Digital in the House.
Yeah, so it's impossible to actually measure the universe using units that we're familiar with, using units of measure, because if you're trying to measure the universe with units of measurement that we're familiar with, the problem is that the universe is expanding at a rate that's faster than the speed of light. So that means that everything else is expanding too, because the term universe includes everything in the universe. So as space-time is expanding, so is everything else. So if you were to measure the universe with a meter, well, technically the meter itself is expanding at a rate faster than light. Constant.
My name? I'm sorry to.
It's okay, buddy.
Just even mentioning it again, it's just. My name is drlennonsmith.com.
Yeah.
This has been the Jock Doc podcast. And Lanchester Fligsby, if you're out there, and we can see you on the satellite, so we do know you're out there. Come back. Please come back.
See ya.
You put on your sunglasses as the blazing daylight slams into your wincing face. Ugh, can this day get any worse, you think to yourself as you slowly wake up and get out of bed. Bleary-eyed, you stumble over to the mini fridge and take out a cold one. You pop open the top and you chug that whole half-gallon of milk, resting in the knowledge that you paid extra for the vitamin D they put in it. The phone rings, its infuriating ring, and you lurch across the room to put a stop to it. You pick up, and they ask if you still want the room for a second night. Yes, it was wonderful, you reply, before hanging up. It was a rough night of testing, but yes, this room will be adequate for your son's hotel room-themed birthday party. Speaking of wild nights in hotel rooms, don't forget to leave a 5-star review of the Jock podcast, in which you share what troubles you have gone through to assure the future happiness of a loved one. And consider supporting us by becoming a patron on the Jock Podcast Patreon. And while you're at it, go ahead and share the Jock Podcast with a friend or foe. You can send them a link to our favorite episode, or just send them our handy website, jockdogpodcast.com. And don't forget to take a peek at our posts on social media. We are at Jock Podcast. Thanks for listening.